Hello, this is Carter Boucher. We're here in my art studio slash music studio slash writer's den, and I'm about to start with my first pen review. Today we'll be reviewing the Pelikan M1000. If you hear angels singing, that's because this is one of those pens. Now I'm going to take a slightly different approach to my reviews. The first thing I'm going to do is measure each pen, because I find a shockingly difficult array of measurement information on the internet, and it usually doesn't include what I consider to be one of the most important pieces of information, which is how wide is the barrel of the pen where you grip it. Okay, I have my Husky digital caliper, which I am going to take out of the case, turn it on, and we are set on inches, and I have zeroed it out. You always want to zero it out. Then I'm going to take this and we'll get our measurements for this pen. This is again the Pelikan M1000, and what we want to do, we're going to measure it capped. Sorry if I'm a little fumbly here. All right. I'm going to be sure and get the middle of the pen. And I'm coming out at 5.72 inches. 5.72 inches. All right, now we're going to measure it uncapped. And by the way, one of the things that is different about the way I'm going to be doing my videos, I noticed everybody else reviews a pen the second they get it. I'm going to be using my pens sometimes for months before I review them. And there's a reason for that, is the type of reviews I'm going to do are going to be centered around using the pen, not so much collecting the pen. I'm having trouble catching the end of the nib here. There we go. Coming out 5.26. Now, for what I consider to be one of the most important measurements, which is how wide is the barrel right here where I grip the barrel. And I'm going to measure two places, because there's always a thin part and a thick part with these, or not always, but usually. And I am getting .45 for the narrow part, and just past the threads, I'm getting 0.7. 0.7. That slipped as I picked it up. Okay. Just past the threads. I'll figure out how to handle this to show it to you. I assume I'll get better at this. We'll see. All right. 0.47 at the thicker part. Now I will say that this pen is deceptively thinner than it feels. There is a subjective part to this, which I will get into later. I'm going to save that for the end, but I just gave you a little spoiler there. I'm going to turn this off, and all right. Now, the pen came in a slip cover with a nice presentation box. Has a nice wood grain to it. And when you open this up, there were the usual pamphlets and a very nice little pen carrying case, which I don't use, but it is very nice. And a little tissue paper. The pen was in this clear plastic sleeve. And in the box, there was some Pelikan ink. The Pelikan ink was in a box with these two little foam inserts to keep it from wiggling. It came with a beautiful blue sapphire ink, which I'm about to fill the pen with. Now, it's had this ink in it before, because as I said, I like to use the pens so I can give you a report on daily usage and how well they write and how well they draw. I'm trying to make this so the review doesn't take forever. So I didn't leave it in quite as long as I normally do. I normally pause a second or two. This is a piston fill, so I screwed the back out by screwing counterclockwise, stuck it in the ink, and screwed it back in. Now, this is a Rhodia pad with the traditional 1/4-inch blocks. I'm going to do just some freehand writing. This is the Pelikan M1000. All right, now we're writing in sapphire ink. Now I'm making scratching noises. I don't know why. I don't usually hear much with this pen. Maybe I'm pressing harder because of making the video. Now, one of the questions I get is, what does it mean when they say the pen has a soft point? What that means is that the pen is a little bouncy when you write. It cushions your writing, and it is slightly expressive. Now, what do I mean by that? And I plan to do another review where I'll compare an actual flex pen to a soft point pen. With this, if you're writing, you can, by pressing, get a tiny bit of line variation. But it is not a true flex pen. And I just changed my mind. I have one sitting here. Haven't used this in a while. This is a true flex pen. This is how different that would look. See the very dramatic line difference with a flex pen. Incidentally, that is a vintage Mont Blanc with an 18 karat flex nib. It is not a wet noodle, however it is a full flex nib, giving tremendous line variation, as you can see. If you look at the top of that word, give the camera a second to autofocus here. There's a lot of variation. All right, now with the Pelikan M1000, you can get some line variation, enough to give you some flair in, oh, I went too fast, your writing. Now, I can write fairly fast with this Pelikan M1000. I'm just taking notes. I've never had it skip while I was taking notes. However, when you start flexing, one of the basic things about flexing is you're running through a lot more ink a lot more quickly. So even with a soft point like this, where you're just getting a little bit of line variation, tell how in focus that is, where you're getting a little bit of line variation, you still need to slow down. Most people don't like that. All right. I just wanted to take a shot of the writing I did just in case it was hard to see in the earlier part of the video where I was actually writing. You can see on this particular word, a little shadow problem there, where I wrote the word flare, you can see some line variation. And that was written very quickly. And of course it was the Y where I ran out. That was partly hand angle, which I'll talk about in another video.